What up? What up? What up? It's Birds of a Feather on A2D Radio, live from the Real Talk Studios. First half brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant. Make them yours. GibsonMayer.com and Specialized Physical Therapy LLC. Find them in Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton. SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. Chrome is not here for another time, but it's been a while since he has been absent from the show. I will admit that. But he is not here. He is away. But we still got the other usuals here. What up, Godwin? Kevin, what's going on? Our resident Patriots. Can we promote him to Crumb yet, or is he still just the Patriots fan?
I feel like we have to wait until football season officially
starts.
begins.
Okay,
but it's close. It's coming.
Close.
It's coming soon.
Yeah, and then of course on the ones and twos. What's going on, bro?
What's going on, guys?
What's
Good to be here.
What is up? Haven't hosted in a while. I can still do it. Just like you haven't brought us onto YouTube in a long time. Hey, man.
It's
been
a
a
day
while.
of firsts. It's a day of firsts,
Yes.
that's for sure.
Yes,
first in
that's
a
good.
while,
Yeah.
I should say.
But everything so far looks pretty smooth.
Well, that's good.
We'll see what happens. But, guys, our poll question today, leading into our main topic of the evening, is Doug Pederson is a top 3 head coach in the NFL. Agree or disagree? And that leads to our main topic of the evening of head coach rankings. How do you rank the head coaches in the league? The past few weeks, we've been talking about players like quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. We've ranked all of them. Now let's go to the coaches. We didn't do this last year, which surprising I didn't think of it, but it'd be good to start to talk about the head coaches and the guys in charge. Who do we feel is the best? Who do we feel is the worst? So we got that, and then after that, we'll also get into a little fun game that we got where we each are going to pick our own systems as if we were running. Huh?
Are we allowed to say that? The word
system? Yeah. I mean, Bill, where's Bill? Where's my boy Bill? Pick your system. If you're running a team, what offensive and defensive systems would you utilize on your team? And then we'll talk about training camp, give a little preview, make some predictions, give some insight on some stuff, and then of course, as always, end with some no huddle, some quick fire topics. All right. But let's go to the poll question first, and we'll talk about it. Doug Pederson. Now we know when I decided on this poll question, I decided top 3 because we all know who is. I think it's pretty unanimous, and it's pretty well known who the number 1 is, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm not.
All right,
so
that's not news. It shouldn't be news to anyone. But I figured top 3 because we know who number 1 is, and then I wanted to make it a little interesting. So top 3, is he a top 3 head coach in the NFL, Kevin?
To me, I've got him at 3, so I would agree with the poll.
Nice. Reasons as a Patriots fan that, and I don't know if bitter fans would use it against him, but knowledgeable fans would use it for his case. But Super Bowl 52, when the Eagles beat the Patriots with a backup quarterback in Nick Foles, does that help his case a lot in your eyes?
I think it does help. I don't think I would say a lot, but it's a page from who I think that anyone that's not living under a rock should have at number 1, being Bill Belichick, who Pederson himself says that he models what he does after him.
Mm-hmm.
I know they have a lot of conversations, are good friends, seen, golfing together and whatnot, but they both have the same mentality as far as next up goes. So whether you're the water boy or you're Tom Brady, you better be ready to go no matter what.
Yeah.
But they both have the same scheme mentality as far as what do you do best and how can I make you not do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that puts him pretty high for me, especially being as young as he is, to be able to do it as well. And being a player turned coach and not being that great of a player, those types of coaches haven't really turned out all that well. The Mike Vrabels of the world who lit the world on fire with New England and then to do nothing with where he's at. You'll see where I got him ranked. So.
Yeah. I think in a way, I don't know. I don't have any data on this, so I don't. I have nothing to back this up with. It could just be an incorrect assumption. But I feel like if you're a backup quarterback in the league, if you played backup quarterback, there seems to be a trend where that has helped you be successful more so than other positions. Like I mean we rag on him, but I mean like being a head coach for this long is not a small feat. But Jason Garrett for the Cowboys was a former quarterback. You have Gary Kubiak. He's not a head coach right now, but successful head coach who was a former quarterback. There are a lot of other Frank Reich, former quarterback again. So I mean, I feel like that is a trend where like backup quarterbacks they learn behind the starting quarterback for so long, and then they soak in a lot more knowledge. I feel riding the bench and doing game plans and game prep a lot. So maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just totally off. But I mean that is a good point. Those are good points, and I think that for me, I also had him at 3. So I agree with the poll. With Doug Peterson, one of the things I like is his growth. Is that he's in a way, not totally, but in a way, he is the polar opposite of Chip Kelly. We talked about it before. Chip Kelly, the reason why he struggled and ultimately did not do well is because he failed to adjust. He failed to take when defenses figured his system out, figured out his tendencies. He never adjusted what he did. He was stagnant. But with Doug Peterson, I feel like since his first year, where a lot of people were criticizing him about certain things, his clock management was a worry. Also being from the Andy Reid tree, people were worried about clock management. Some of his decisions seemed a little boneheaded and stuff like that. But he learned from his mistakes from the first year. He grew, and he always seems like he's adjusting to what the team does well. A big reason why Nick Foles has had success when he came in late in the year in 2017 and then late in the year in 2018 is because Doug Peterson changed that offensive system. He changed it up and the play calling so that it would suit Nick Foles' game and strengths more, which is what a great head coach does. And he makes those adjustments. He makes those changes because every once in a while, defenses are going to figure you out. No matter who you are, Bill Belichick, he hasn't gone undefeated, as you can see. Like, defenses at times figure out his game plan, but it's how you go about it and make those adjustments that really show how you're great, because you're going to have to adapt. Adapt.
I would definitely agree with you to a point, though. I think that it's definitely a step in the right direction going from Chip Kelly, but I think Kelly over-adjusted. I think every time something didn't go exactly as planned, he kind of threw the whole playbook out the window and was like, oh, let's try this new process. We're going to start over. And there was no consistency, and it didn't follow well through the players. I think that there's a difference between shaping the wheel and reinventing it. I think that any one of the coaches that I've got ranked top 5, they're good at adjusting but not getting rid of what makes them and the core plays. They might just switch a couple directions. They might switch their targets, but they're going to keep true to their style of play. Yeah. Whereas I think Chip Kelly was like, okay, what do you guys do good at? No, forget that. We're going to try something else.
Yeah.
And go the opposite direction altogether.
Exactly. And another thing I like about Doug P is that he's, with his play calling, and me, if you know me, when it comes to offensive play calling, you have to be creative. You cannot be boring. You cannot be a Mike McCarthy and be as plain as day for your whole head coaching tenure. You have to mix it up. You have to get creative and keep the defenses on their heels. I mean, like the flea flicker against the Vikings in the NFC Conference Championship game with Nick Foles. The Philly special in the Super Bowl, like numerous plays where it's just he keeps things creative and different. So it's not always the same simple concepts every single week. He knows how to mix it up, and that's a big thing. Like you got to know how to call good plays, not just the right plays, but good plays. So I love that about Doug Pederson.
I think that something that people don't talk about enough. That, obviously everyone brings up the Philly, but people don't talk about the way that it was done.
Yes,
I think that it's one thing to pull off a play like that in general is a great feat, but to do it after the Patriots had already done a similar play, like, hey, you guys can't do it, but we can. That takes a lot, knowing that game plan or that type of play is already in their minds because they just did it. So you take what basically is already on their radar for plans that they're trying to stop, because you don't do a play yourself unless you know how to stop it yourself.
Yes.
And then do it better and end up winning the game with it.
I agree. Ryan.
Yes, sir.
Poll question.
I agree. I have him 3 as well.
Yeah,
behind, obviously,
there you go.
the obvious at number 1.
Then save the number 2.
Yes, I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you look back, and this is, people say it's controversial. I don't think it is, and I know it was now 2 seasons ago, so it's kind of it's like this in all sports, what have you done for me lately? But a big part, if not the biggest part, in my opinion, of that Super Bowl run, not only just the Super Bowl victory, was Doug Pederson cutting his ego and going back to what worked for Nick Foles, for adjusting his system. You saw a lot in his rookie year as a head coach that he didn't adapt well, and maybe sometimes he was aggressive to a fault. But I think over time, and I think you're especially going to see that now that you see what we have on offense, he's really, and I'm not going to say he's single-handedly changed the league, but in a way he has, with how aggressive he is on 4th down conversions, the way even sometimes when it's not 4th and 1, 4th and short, say, for example, he's on the opponent's 45-yard line to where it's too close to punt, it's too far to kick a field goal, he'll go for it. And you really never saw that before. And I think he's taken, obviously we know what he took from Andy, some good things, some not so good things, obviously, that we joke about as Eagles fans. And the way he's kind of molded himself as a head coach into ultimately aggressive, very creative. Sometimes he can get stuck on the same play or two with the certain screen passes that we yell about every week as Eagles fans. Chuck, so I know you agree with that. Freaking screen pass to somebody who doesn't run screen passes. See, it's too early. It's too early. I have to save that for the season. But he's a very good head coach, and we cannot ignore what he's done so quickly for this organization and the way he's fit players into his system.
Yeah, I don't think enough people talk about his play call, especially on 4th downs, like you said, because it's one thing to stick behind your team and say, hey, it's 4th and 1. I believe you guys can get this 1 yard and, go for it. But to stick behind your team, what it does for the players, to say, hey, it's 4th and 6, 4th and 7, and we don't really need to make this play anyway, but I believe in you guys enough to go for it and get it done to where it's not going to hurt us or come back to bite us later in the game. The mentality that puts in the players' heads, that your coach is going to be there for you all the way through the game no matter what down it is huge.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's get into some comments on Facebook. We've got Rosca saying, "What's up, boys? I'm doing both for the first time since March." Kyle Meager says, "Agree with the poll. Have a good show." Bill Middlebrook says, "Right here, brother." Andy Ritter says, "My dudes have a great show. Burn that Pat shirt." Vespi says, "Top 3 maybe. Doug is a top 5 coach at best." To which I replied, "Wait, your sentence doesn't make sense, because if you are top 3 maybe, then you can't be top 5 at best."
It's Frank.
It's Frank.
Yeah,
Stop bothering us at work. And then we got Greg said Bill is the GOAT. We agree. He is the GOAT. Bill Middlebrook says, "Disagree with the poll. Kev knows who the best is. LOL." Then you got Peyton and Gruden. Then you can argue the next 7 all day long. Doug hasn't been. Wait. Just wait later. Doug hasn't been doing it long enough. Honestly, I'm not too sure how good he is, only because he listened to Frank and even Foles. Greg says, "I no longer want Doug fired," so that's something.
It
right?
worries me.
That
very much
is
worries me.
something. That is actually something. He does say now we are on to fire Gabe. So
Agreed.
Lutman says, "Bring it. Let's go, fellas." Greg says, "Because Nick Foles couldn't run the original offense." Just saying. And you are completely right, Greg.
Yep.
He is right. And he says, disagree to the poll. I have him top 5, just not top.
Is that a Roman Quinn home run?
That's a home run. Have him top 5, just not top 3. And then Bill Middlebrook says Harbaugh would be my 3. And that's not bad.
I like Harbaugh.
I like Harbaugh.
I like him a lot.
All right. So, since people are starting to give a little bit of their rankings, let's go into rankings.
Do you want me to read YouTube?
Oh,
real quick?
YouTube. Yes. I'm almost forgetting.
Listen, it's been a while.
It's been a while.
So we start off with our friend, our relative Washington Redskins fan.
Yes,
It's
Mr.
been a
Sean
while.
Taylor.
It's Sean Taylor. Kevin, you'll get to know Sean Taylor
You will
very,
get to
very.
know him.
I
He's
hope so.
Redskins
Miss you,
until
buddy.
the end, even when it doesn't make
Hey,
sense.
I miss you. But you know what we love? We will always go to bat with him against Cowboys trolls.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Sometimes. But anyway, Sean, it's good to hear from you. He says, well. Look what the cat dragged back from Facebook.
Heck
Are you mean to
yeah.
tell me that you were over on Facebook, Sean?
We gotta find
What was your real name?
We gotta find out your real name. That's what I love about
We've got 'em all.
so I love about YouTube too is that you could have any name. So like your identity is secret. It's almost
Yes.
like the anonymous like underground like
Face
chat room.
reveal. Face
Face
reveal.
reveal.
David Roskett says, what's up, boys? Also, he says he's doing double duty like he always used to do.
Yeah.
We appreciate you, Dave. Then It's Our Time. Philly chimes in saying, what's up, fellas? Keep up the good work. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Dave says, finally, we are back on YouTube. Listen, brother, preaching to the choir.
Yep.
Sean Taylor says, Doug Pederson is not even on the level of the top coaches. We would expect you to say that.
Of course he's gonna say that.
He also says, I'll say top half of the league. I'll give credit where credit is due. Oh, you're so kind.
Top half of the
That's
league.
so kind of you for
As if
a
that's
Super Bowl head coach in the last 3 years to say he's in the top. I appreciate that.
oh my
Bryce
gosh.
Blackwell says, yo, we back. What's up, Bryce?
Bryce.
Then we get to a fun one. Something, again, that we would expect from Sean Taylor. See, Kev, this is what you can expect from the YouTube. He
What do
says,
we got?
Jay Gruden is definitely on the list of most underrated coaches. Skins bounce back every other year and never finish with less than 5 wins under Jay, because that's something to definitely
Less than 5
congratulate.
wins.
Less than 5 wins. Much higher than Jason Garrett, that's for sure. Well, we'll agree on that,
yeah, we
because
agree
Jason
on that,
Garrett, as
yeah.
Chucks and I say, he's a professional clapper.
Clapper.
That's all he is.
Clap on.
A couple more here. We have Foolish Demon saying, Bird Gang. What's up, Foolish
What up,
Demon?
foolish. Missed you.
Bryce said Doug P, top 5 coach. Sean
you go.
Taylor was laughing at Chip Kelly, saying he misses him.
We all.
Because for years I knew we didn't have to worry about the Eagles.
Didn't we beat the Redskins on Chip Kelly's debut, which was Sean McCoy? Remember that? Monday Night
Listen,
Football?
Sean,
Yes,
we
did.
can't forget about these
We can't
things.
forget about that.
His top 3 coaches in the NFL. This is a phenomenal list. This is exactly what I would expect. It's Bill Belichick 1. Agreed. John Harbaugh 2, and then John Gruden.
What? I think these people are 15 years in the past.
I think they
right
like
now.
just watching Hard
Oh
Knocks.
my God.
Then we have Cassius Cliff saying, "Hey, we back. Doug is top 3, and he ain't 3." So we saying he's higher.
Oh, is
Higher
he
than
saying
3. Top 3, but he ain't 3.
Ooh.
Could he be 1, Kevin?
I highly doubt
Could-
that.
could he-
Must
could
live
he-
under a rock.
Could he be 1.5?
And Sean Taylor says, and we love you, Sean. He says, definitely missed this show. We missed you too, Sean.
We did.
And Tom Coughlin won 2 Super Bowls, and he was never a top coach. Super Bowl means nothing. You would say that, Sean, as a Redskins fan. You do not know what a Super Bowl feels like for quite a while.
Oh my God.
I love being able to say that.
Yes.
We waited so long.
Yeah,
And
we
that's
did.
for right now. There's a couple
We
more,
did.
but we'll bounce on YouTube
No,
in a
that's
little
good.
bit.
That's good. All right. So, who wants to start off? I'm not gonna start off. Do you want to break it down
So-
again, like we have been, like the top? You know, we will go like top 5, and then the next 5, and then.
Yeah,
How many
that's
did you do, Ryan?
I did 5, but I can go
Go
along
along with
yeah,
it. Okay.
Yeah.
How many did
Okay.
you do?
I did them all like you.
Perfect. All right. Cool. That's my guy.
Yeah.
That's my guy. All right. Let's go top
So-
5. Kevin, you do yours first,
Yeah.
and then see Ryan, see how yours fall.
Okay, so number 1, I don't think we even have to have a conversation
We
here.
already know.
Hence my
It's like
sweatshirt today.
It's like
In the summer, he
Yeah.
wears the sleeveless or the cut-off sleeved hoodie in the summer.
Listen,
now,
it's
granted,
cool outside.
It's a cool summer day because of the rain and the clouds, so you lucked out.
I did.
I would have to
I did.
blast you even more if it was 90 degrees and I'd be sweating as usual on the
sacrificed
show.
himself.
He sacrificed.
Yes.
It all worked out for you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So number 1, we got Bill Belichick. 2, Sean Payton.
Wait. Oh, okay. I thought you were
I
Bill
thought the same
Belichick.
thing.
No,
Yeah, I was like,
no,
wait,
no.
he's 1 and 2.
Yeah, no.
Like what?
Good.
No, Belichick, Peyton, Pederson at 3, like the poll
Mhm.
question. And then I've got Pete Carroll, Sean McVay, rounding out the top 5.
Okay.
I actually completely agree with you.
You do.
That's my
That's
exact
your top
list.
5?
It's Bill, Peyton, Doug, Pete Carroll, Sean McVay.
And that was the question we had before the show was where do we put Pete Carroll and Sean McVay, especially with experience and lack thereof tied to their success that they've had. To me, that those were probably the hardest 2 in the top 10 to place.
Chucks, if you want, after yours, by the way, we can keep this as like the 4th member of the show. I pulled up the NFL.com official rankings of
Elliot
head coaches.
Harrison?
Yeah.
Written by Elliot Harrison?
Yes.
I had that too.
Okay.
It's a good list.
Okay.
I have a few major disagreements on it, but overall, it's a good list. Elliot knows what he's talking
So if you want, as we give like
Yeah.
5, 5, 5,
We'll
and then
go
I'll
with
wrote,
it, yeah.
you know what I mean? We'll do
Yeah,
like an agree or
definitely.
disagree. Okay.
about. All right.
Cool.
So, thank God, I there's only one that I don't agree with where I'm off with you guys, but it's number 5. So 1 to 4, I have the same. I have Bill Belichick, Sean Payton, Doug Peterson, and Pete Carroll. That's what you guys had, right, for 1 to 4?
Right.
Okay. Number 5, I had John Harbaugh.
Look at you.
I had
Look
John
at
Harbaugh.
you.
I am a big John
Yeah.
Harbaugh guy. He's like the Ravens are consistent every year for so long, and he like I mentioned earlier in terms of adjusting and changing things up to suit your roster, to adjust to what defenses are doing. Last year, he knows what type of quarterback he had, but he didn't try to put what's a square peg in a round hole
Yeah.
Right.
with
Yeah,
Lamar Jackson. He's like, I have a runner at quarterback right now who hasn't developed enough as a passer. I'm just going to freaking run the heck out of the ball and do smash mouth football. Now, again, it wasn't enough to get far, but that team at the beginning of the year with Joe Flacco running the same type of offense, they weren't going to go anywhere. The fact that they turned their season around and made the playoffs to me is a pretty impressive feat. And if you you go even beyond last season, John Harbaugh he's just really, really, really good. And so I had to, the next group of people, it was tough. But when I look at it, I do trust John Harbaugh a lot. And I really, really like what he's done with the Ravens over the years. And longevity does count. Because if you're still successful for a long period of time, that means there's been no reason for the owners and general manager to let you go.
Right.
And we've seen it with Andy Reid in Philadelphia. He stayed 2-3 years too long. And he was the greatest coach in team history, but at some point the message is no longer heard. But that's not the case with John Harbaugh. And it's not like he's on the hot seat going into next year. He still has. It looks like he'll still have another few years ahead of him, and with the way the franchise is going. So I have him. That's where I have him.
For me, that was probably one of the tougher people to place.
Yeah.
Only because I think I need to see a little bit more of what he does as far as offensive play calling with Lamar Jackson.
With Lamar. Yeah.
Because it's a little bit tough with the upper guys. Peyton hasn't really not had Breeze in there. Belichick, Brady's only missed a season and then the 4 games from the suspension. So there's a lot of major pieces that they haven't had to do without to help run.
Yeah.
So I want to see how he runs it, not having Flacco in there. But I don't, I obviously disagree not having him in my top 5, but I get where you're coming from as having him up there.
Yeah, we'll see where you have him ranked. You don't have to spoil it now, but
Yeah.
we'll see where you have him ranked. Ryan, anything else like top 5, Harbaugh?
Well, I'll get to Harbaugh in a moment because
Gotcha.
he was very, very close to
Yeah.
beating out McVay
Yeah.
on mine. But when we get to the next part of the
Perfect.
list. Oh, yeah, real quick with the NFL.com. So his top 5 is Bill, obviously. Pete Carroll, 2. He has Pete high.
Mm-hmm.
Sean McVay, 3. You've got Andy, 4. And you've got Doug, 5. I think we'll all agree when we get to the Andy thing on why we don't have him top 5.
Yeah,
But we do have him, I would imagine, still in the top 10.
we'll see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll see. All right. You said you capped it at 5, right?
Well, I actually did 10. I
You
just
did
did
it.
10.
Oh yeah, go
I
ahead.
just
Go
did
ahead.
10.
Do your 10 now.
So from 6 to 10, I have the following. I have Harbaugh. I then have Andy Reid.
Okay.
Then this is my controversial kind of upstart type of a coach in here. I have Frank Reich
Okay.
at 8.
8. Okay.
I have Mike Tomlin at 9, and then I have Anthony Lynn at 10
Okay.
because we can't ignore that
he's-
Chargers team was. I mean, listen,
Yeah.
they were borderline irrelevant.
Yeah.
The last 2 seasons, he's gone 22-12.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
I mean, the way that and they have a great roster. Don't get me wrong, but the way he's rejuvenated as a rookie head coach so quickly, he's very underrated because you have a guy like Sean McVay who gets a lot of the attention.
Absolutely.
And the thing with Andy, listen, he can't win in the playoffs, but we can't ignore what he does to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, and what
You
he
know
does
what I mean?
with team building and player
Yes.
player development, that's all part of it too. Not just wins and losses. Like
Mm-hmm.
you know, go ahead.
Yeah, that's why I obviously factor that in a little bit, especially longevity as a coach in general. Having changed, obviously the game is not the same as it was 10 years ago. As far as mobile quarterbacks go, and using a larger receiving core versus having 2 guys and that's about it.
Yeah, yeah.
But because Reed has done it across both and been, at least a little bit successful in both, I've got him at 6, Anthony Lynn 7, Harbaugh 8, Dan Quinn 9, Mike Tomlin 10.
Dan Quinn makes your top 10. Gotcha. I don't know. I don't hate it. It's I can see why. He's been pretty consistent too. Like they missed a lot of playoffs last year, but he's still like they had a ton of injuries.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I do like Dan Quinn. I do like him. For my 6 to 10, I've got Andy at 6. I've got Sean McVay at 7. Yep, I got.
I love that. I freaking love that. I see. Remember when we talked before the show? I said I knew someone was going to drop.
Right.
And it's
I
funny
knew he was
because
gonna be
7, like to me, 7's like still good. I mean, you look at the other names, it's like they're all freaking good.
Yes.
But I do still have them better than McVay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a McVay fan. Like I've been saying, like his offensive play calling it's awesome. Like his system is awesome. But there's still flaws.
Do you think it's an experience issue? Do you think
No.
being younger hurts
No,
him in
I
that
think
case?
being younger gives him his character. It gives him part of his leadership skills.
No, I'm not saying as far as his system or character or anything like that. I'm saying, do you think in a couple of years, having more experience as far as game time decisions would put him higher for you?
Not necessarily. It depends on how he goes forward from here. Like I don't think him coaching for more years from here on out alone and giving him more experience isn't going to be like, okay, now boost him up. No, I have to see how he does it.
Right.
You know, to me, I have 2 people in my top 10. Two people in my top 10 that I've only been a coach for 1 or 2 years. It's what I see from you and what in the time period that you've done it.
Right.
I don't, and my criteria could be different from anyone else's. Anyone else is going to be like, because I did say longevity does count, but when your longevity is bad. I mean, like if you've been mediocre or worse for a good number of years during that longevity, I'm not going to give you credit for that. But if you can be consistently good, I'll give you credit for that. But if you've only been a coach for 1 or 2 years, but you've done an amazing job so far, I'm going to give you credit for that. You know what I mean? So that's how I see it. But that's Sean McVay is at 7. To me, this year is going to be one of his most important years because now teams are starting to figure now teams are kind of getting a little bit of the blueprint of how to defend his system, and 2, we don't know what Todd Gurley's status is. And Todd Gurley is that offense. We all saw that their offense wasn't the same once Todd Gurley started to get hurt and be limited. And don't tell me, they reached into a Super Bowl and they were fine with C.J. Anderson. they barely got by with C.J. Anderson. C.J. Anderson did well. He tore up he played really well against the Cowboys, but he wasn't he wasn't the X factor in the Saints game, and he surely wasn't an X factor in the Super Bowl. So it's not like he was anything that special. People just noticed him because he was fresh and whatnot. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does now without if Todd Gurley is not the workhorse that he once was. To round out my top 10, at 8, I've got Bruce Arians. And even though he hasn't done anything yet,
Oh God.
he's a new hire. Okay, I'm going off of his track record with Arizona and previous, because he's only been away for a year, a season.
Yes.
So it's not like he's been away for 15 plus years like John Gruden has. We've seen him not too long ago. We know the type of coach he is. To me, I have him at 8. I really like Bruce Arians.
Did you see the look on my face? Like it was like my head spinning.
Yeah.
Because I'm like trying to scan like in my head like. What team is he on? What team is he on? What team is he
Yeah,
on?
he's
And I'm like, wait, he's not on the Cardinals. Where is he? Where is he? Coordinator, where is he? And I'm like, oh, wait, Tampa.
Tampa, yeah.
He's with Jameis.
Yeah.
Famous
he's with
Jameis.
Oh, God.
Listen, if he can make famous Jameis work, then he might be top 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He freaking stinks.
I have Bruce Arians at 8, Anthony Lynn at 9, and Frank Reich at 10.
There you go. There you
Frank
go.
Reich, man. Frank Reich did awesome for the Colts this year. So I love that. Let's go to we've done top 10. Let's go to the Facebook chat. Let's see. Bill says Harbaugh would be. Oh, I covered that. Ralphie, the Lakers crumb. He said, remember they had to dummy down the offense for Nick Foles.
Oh, we remember.
Exactly, we remember.
We remember.
Greg says, come up with an original thought for one time, Ralphie.
He's trying. He's trying, Greg. He's trying.
Bill says, well, name the 3 I did. Vespi says, it all depends on how the experts see it. He did took a step back. Vespi, that's not what we're saying. Okay, hold on. I'm just moving on from it.
It's Frank.
It's Frank. All right, and then he says number 1 would be Bill. 2 would be Bountygate Peyton. 3 is Pete Carroll. 4 is Big Balls Doug. And 5, Andy Reid. So it's respectable. Bill Brooks says, with Bill as the GOAT at 1, then you can't argue that Harbaugh, Carroll, Peyton, Gruden, etc. Doug is not a top 3. Agree with other comments. Top 10, yes.
I can argue with that.
Yeah.
I can.
I don't-
definitely could argue.
I can argue with that, especially with Gruden. All right, we'll get to it.
Who the hell is that?
God.
As an analyst, sure, top 3. As an analyst.
Yeah. Chrome. Hey, it's Chrome.
Oh, look
Hey,
what
fellas.
we have here.
Greetings from Orlando. I miss you, fellas, but holding it down like only you can. Have a wonderful show. Can't wait to be back with the fam in 2 weeks, but I'll soak up the sun until then.
I won't see Chrome.
You didn't answer the poll question. And as I say that, he said, Doug is absolutely a top 3 coach. There you go. Yeah, and then Bill Middlebrook actually he says Bill is the best of all time. Then it's Knowles, Walsh, and Gibbs. I'm surprised he doesn't have Parcells there, or at least mentions him. But
Do you want me to
would
go over to
Walsh.
YouTube?
Yeah, go to YouTube.
So these guys went flying in the last handful of moments.
Nice.
So Robert Ellis says, how about Merrill Reese saying that this is the best team he brought to camp? Listen, that's awesome. Now, I'm sure we'll talk about it later. There's a fine line between being very confident and also a lot of hype. We've been a part of teams in the past that have had a lot of hype.
Yeah.
I don't know where this falls yet.
We talked about it last week. We talked about the June team.
Both of them.
Talking, screaming, yes.
Yes.
One of the two, yes. Let's see. Sean Taylor says, if Super Bowls were so important, you'd think at least Mike Tomlin would be in the top 5. Well, he hasn't won multiple Super Bowls, has he? He's won 1, correct? Like, am I wrong? Tomlin's only won 1.
Let me see.
When they
think
beat
it's only
They beat
the
the
Cardinals, yeah. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure. Because I don't think he was the coach when they beat the Seahawks.
Let me see. He has.
Cardinals was the last time.
No,
they
he
were
has
there.
had. No. 1 as a head coach. 2002 as an assistant. 2008 as the head coach. So 1.
Gotcha. So Cassius Cliff then goes on to say, and I completely agree with this, McVay stole that Coach of the Year award. Doug has a
Yeah.
ring in his first 3 years, owns McVay, and beat Belichick. Peyton
Yep.
owns the Eagles for some reason.
Yeah.
Wow, this man.
Yeah. I mean, and
I hate the Saints.
he's a jerk, but he's a damn good coach. And I wanted, like in my head, I wanted so bad to drop Peyton from 2. I was like,
It hurt me.
I hate putting Peyton at 2 because he's such a jerk.
Yes.
But he's at 2.
Listen, that they have to win something.
have
That's your prize
There you
for
go.
complaining about the freaking Super
There you
Bowl
go,
or
there
the
you go.
Super Bowl that you weren't in. Sean Taylor says McVay literally has an all-star team around him. Anyone could coach that team to success.
I wouldn't say it's an all-star team. The receivers are.
A lot of big
and we
names.
talked about Todd Gurley and the offensive line is good. Goff is good, good quarterback. The receivers are good.
They're like B plus.
They're all B plus receivers. They're not like I wouldn't say like they're a bunch of all stars.
No.
It's a good roster.
They're
It's a very
flashy.
good roster.
They're flashy.
They're a very good roster that fit the system. I
Yeah.
mean,
You got to consider that Goff is mid-tier 2 at best, very shaky, and to create a playbook that A, you can help a young quarterback develop in, and
Yeah.
B, take care of Gurley's knees in. Whereas if you take Gurley's talent on any other team, it's, hey, here's the ball 50 times a game. See
Yeah.
what happens.
Yeah, and
I-
the fact that he was able to use Gurley the way he did in both the run game and passing game, and in different ways, because a lot of people were doubting Gurley too. They're like, "Are you just a runner? Are you, or
Right.
can you receive?" Like that was the thing coming out of college, but he's shown that he can be a solid receiver, and I mean, he's not someone that is going to move around the formation and run wide receiver routes like Kamara or Christian McCaffrey, but you can move him around in the slot. Give him screens. You can give him slants every once in a while. He's solid. He's solid. He's a good receiver, and add that to that, he's like an elite, talented runner. You have a really dangerous weapon. I think we've seen that. And he's the engine that makes that. He has been that engine that makes that offense go, in terms of like the players on the field.
If I'm a Rams fan, I'm terrified of his health right now.
I'm scared. I'm legit scared, and I'm worried. I need to see him be okay. So,
Yeah, but I mean, as far as saying that he's got elite talent around him, I mean, so did Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
So I mean, you saw what he did with DeMarco Murray at running back. You take a guy who was supposed to be top 5 at the time, and I don't even think he had ever broke 100 yards.
yeah.
In a game. So, you can't just say, oh, yeah, they're talented. You got to make plays where they succeed and show that talent. So,
Cassius also says Doug is probably the only head coach who could win a ring with a backup besides Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Listen, we've seen it.
Who was the Giants head coach when what's his name? Oh my God.
I'm blanking
The
on
backup. The backup who came in for Phil Simms when they won the Super Bowl.
I know exactly. I can see his
Oh
face.
my gosh! Why can't I?
We talk about him like every week. Why am I blanking?
It's gonna bother me the whole time.
Frank?
Yeah,
Frank.
Answer that, please.
I don't know why I call him Frank, but
Bill.
go ahead.
Bill also asked who my 3, 4, and 5 were again. Bill, I have Doug Pederson at 3, Pete Carroll at 4, and John Harbaugh at 5.
Couple more over here on the tube. Sean Taylor saying if Mark Sanchez was the backup, you guys wouldn't have even sniffed the NFC Championship. We're not arguing with that. It's a good thing he wasn't the backup.
Yeah.
Like, that's the same thing as saying if Chucks was the backup, we wouldn't have won a game. Okay.
Yeah.
I love you, Chucks,
Yeah.
but okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's
yeah.
okay. You know what I mean?
Fine.
no
You're
arguments
not going to
there.
argue. We're not going to argue against that.
Cassius also said in response to Sean Taylor, well, nor would Belichick. Sanchez is hot trash. Like, do you think as a Patriots fan, if Mark Sanchez came in, you think you guys are winning the Super Bowl?
No.
Think you guys are winning the, think you guys are winning the playoff game?
He would run into and do another butt fumble.
Yeah.
As a Patriot.
I would say playoff game maybe, only because I think that as far as the NFC is concerned, I think there's more talent as overall teams go in the NFC than AFC. It's the weaker conference. I'm not doubting that. So a playoff game maybe. Super Bowl, not a chance.
Robert Ellis quoting the Foles hashtag or quote, you want Philly, Philly. I think he's also impersonating Redskins fans saying, quote, well, Reed is the top tight end in the NFC East when healthy. Because that's like the number one thing Redskins fans talk about, but
that's the only
he's
one.
The
never
issue-
healthy.
Yeah, that's the issue is when is he healthy?
No.
Tell me one time in the past 5 seasons.
It's like, well, Sam Bradford can score a touchdown when he's healthy. Okay, well, he's never healthy.
He's not healthy.
Sean Taylor saying the disrespect to Mike Tomlin. Also saying Jordan Reed would have been a Hall of Famer had he not had injury problems. He was challenging Jason Witten 3 years ago as the top tight end in the East. Yeah, maybe for that one game he was out.
I've been told that Ken Griffey Jr. would have been the GOAT too if he had not been. I mean, and I don't follow baseball. I just want to keep hearing. So what if?
I'm being told if I would have pursued golf, I would have won the U.S. Open. But guess what? It didn't happen.
Barry Sanders would be the all-time leading rusher if the Lions didn't suck. So a lot of what ifs.
Cassius Cliff saying, "Who is Jordan Reed?" I'm not aware of who Jordan Reed is. Did he play basketball?
Who is this Reed you speak of?
Is he the brother? Is he the brother of Ed Reed?
Yeah.
Andy? Andy. And then John D. Casanova saying, calling it right now, Wentz MVP, throwing for 42 touchdowns, 11 interceptions.
There you go.
I love it, man.
I love it. All right, so let's get to your next 5. Oh, what does NFL.com say? What does Mr. Elliot Harrison say? Because
sir.
We remember, Elliot Harrison is one of the few Cowboy fan media people that we really like.
Yes.
Elliot Harrison is not biased at all, and he is
agenda.
legit smart. He has no agenda, and he's one of the few people on NFL.com that I can trust.
So just to refresh for anybody who's just jumping in, so his list from 1 to 5, and then I'll continue to 10. It's Bill Belichick 1, Pete Carroll, Sean Payton, Andy Reid, Doug Pederson. That's his 5. So then I'll move on to his 6 through 10. Sean McVay 6. We've got John Harbaugh 7. Anthony Lynn 8. You've got Mike Tomlin 9, and you have Mike Zimmer 10.
Good. I ran through his list the other day, and I was like, oh, this is a solid list. So I like it. All right, go ahead. Next 5.
All right, so at 11 I had Mike Zimmer, 12 Matt Nagy, 13 Ron Rivera, Frank Reich, and then John Gruden, 15.
By the
John
way,
Gruden 15.
Jeff Hostetler.
There you go.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you. Jeff Hostetler.
And
Cool.
the coach was Parcells.
Parcells. Parcells can do it too. Parcells, Bill, and Doug Peterson. So for my 11, okay, let me just preface this. I said this before the show, and I'll say it here on air. This section, 11 to 20, is like a big cluster thing for me. Like I could not. It was the hardest thing to be able to group this, especially 11 to 17. When I got to 18 to 20, that was like a little easier. But like to be honest, I could take these next 7 coaches and just be like, okay, you pick. But
so they can shift.
Yeah, you can shift. Okay. Like, so I'm not going to argue if people are like, no, he should be a little higher. Like, fine. That's fine.
Okay.
All right. So I put 11, I have Dan Quinn. 12, I have Mike Zimmer. 13, I have Ron Rivera. 14, I have Mike Tomlin. 15, I have Kyle Shanahan. 16, I have Matt Nagy. And 17, I have Doug Marrone. The one name there that I feel like people are like, what? Matt Nagy that low? And again, I know I understand. It's just that I like those guys a lot above him for different reasons. And I feel like Nagy is right there with all of them. So it's just because he's 16, it doesn't mean that he's that much worse than Dan Quinn at 11 or Mike Zimmer at 12. Like, to me, he's on that level. I had to rank them, so someone's gonna fall. But I do like all those coaches. And what I will say about Kyle Shanahan, again, to me, Kyle Shanahan, if he had the same roster that Sean McVay did, we'd be talking about Kyle Shanahan and not Sean McVay.
Yep.
That is my opinion. It's always been of Kyle Shanahan. People say like, "Oh, what has he won?" Well, what quarterback has he had? So
you got to put a lot of the onus on what he did with Matt Ryan the year he should have won the Super Bowl, and he was the MVP.
Yeah.
You know, and you see what happened to Matt Ryan the year after that.
Yeah.
And people blame that on Sarkisian, but I think it's more about what they lost.
Mm-hmm.
Like it reminds me of very similar of what happened to the Eagles last year, where you lost Reich and you moved on to obviously the slop that we have now. No disrespect, but you know my opinion on the offensive coordinator.
Yes.
Mr.
I don't even know his name right now.
Grow.
Yeah.
Grow.
Grow.
See, I blanked on his name because that's how much I've tried to erase him from my memory.
Well, hopefully he grows out of our memory, or at least out of the bad section of our memory.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. But you know what I mean? It's kind of like
Yeah.
we don't know what it really is. Is it more on what the offensive coordinator after him didn't do well or moving on from him? I think it's a little bit of both. And I think you could say the same thing with Shanahan when he moved on from Atlanta.
Yeah, exactly. What does Elliot Harrison have for his next 5?
One moment. Let's see here. Okay, so starting at 11, he has Dan Quinn, Frank Reich, Ron Rivera, Matt Nagy, and at 15, John Gruden.
15. Okay.
Yes, I
That's
don't
where I
know
got him.
why.
That's one of the first ones where I was like, eh.
Let me ask you, Kev, since you have him you said that's where you have him. Is it about what he was? It can't be about what he is now, right?
I think it's a little bit of a both. It's the hope of knowing what he was before, trying to bring that back and leaning more on talent for lack of what he's done. But then you bring up the Khalil Mack, getting rid of him. Where does that lie in the organization? Is it on him? Is it someone else saying, hey, we got to make a move, pick your poison type of thing?
Yeah.
But I don't think that anyone that I've got after him, I would flip a coin and say, hey, put him ahead of him.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. Round out your 20. So number 20.
I had 15 Gruden, 16 Arians,
Okay.
17 Doug Marrone, 18 Jason Garrett, 19 Jay Gruden.
Okay.
We got
I
Jay.
don't-
Hear
I
that?
think-
Hear
I
that,
think
Sean
Bruce-
Taylor?
Bruce
We got
Jay.
Jay in here.
I think I would put Bruce Arians a lot higher, but Bruce Arians has been
Well,
good.
I mean, my issue is he was good. He has done a lot of things, especially in the past with the Cardinals, but as he got older, I know health issues were involved, but you see his decisions start to decline, especially with the use. The last 2 years he was there with David Johnson, the use of him, and then last year having a year off. What exactly does he have left?
Okay, I think that's fair. That's a fair point. Fair points. To round out my 20, so at 18, I had Gruden, but it's not John. It's Jay at 18, his brother. It's funny with Sean Taylor's comment where like Jay Gruden is underrated. Even though I have him at 18, so technically he's on the top of the second half of the league. I do think in a way sometimes he gets a bad rap. I do think that he is better than some people think, especially Eagles fans. And I think that had he would have had more consistent success if that quarterback situation wasn't so muddled for the past several years, going from RG3, then Kirk Cousins, and then Kirk Cousins like ongoing contract things and no stability, and then injuries with Jordan Reed. Jordan Reed who?
Basketball player?
Basketball player, and then
Andy Reid's
you know what I mean. So I think he's better than what his record shows, but at the same time I have to see the consistent success before I put him up there with the rest of the guys. But I like some of the things he does. I do really like some of the things he
I
does.
told you the story about last week. What he's saying down there.
Yeah. If you want to believe it or not.
Sean, we'll talk more about that tomorrow. I know
Yeah.
I've heard a couple things about your quarterback.
Yeah.
Okay? Your young quarterback.
Yes. 19, I had Sean McDermott. And 20, I had Bill O'Brien.
I respect that out of
Sean
you. I
McDermott.
love Sean McDermott.
Because with the stuff he has on offense is a mess. But on defense, man, that Bills defense flies.
He's who I wanted after we fired Chip.
Yeah.
He was my number
A
one.
lot of people wanted, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think on the defensive end, he knows what he's doing now. And I guess part of it is also an emotional attachment because he's from the Jim Johnson tree.
Yep.
So he learned from Jim Johnson. So when you see his defense, you see a lot of the Jim Johnson kind of concepts. And that's always going to strike really hard with us Eagles fans.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think he's doing a great job so far with what he's had, especially on the defensive end. The test now is going to come where is he able to coach and develop Josh Allen enough to to get that franchise alive. And because Josh Allen, again, physical traits are enormous.
Yeah, he's a great talent.
But he's a great talent, but his processing, decision making is all over the place. So
I don't know if he'll translate
yeah,
to it.
Yeah.
Too much improv.
exactly. Mr. Harrison, before to 20 before we round out the rest of it.
So to 20 we have 16 we have Bruce Arians.
Okay.
Jason Garrett sighting at 17.
Jason Garrett.
Doug Marrone at 18. Bill O'Brien 19. See, I'm not a Bill O'Brien fan at all. I think he's one of the most overrated coaches in the league.
Bill O'Brien. Where did I put Bill O'Brien? I put Bill O'Brien at 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Mike Vrabel at 20.
At 20. Okay, so me and Elliot Harrison were pretty much right there. All right.
There's something, by the way, there's something interesting happening in the Facebook chat right now.
What is happening?
So let me try and find it here. Bill said something. Let me find you, Bill. Bill says, you guys are probably too young to know this, but did you know that O.J. Simpson could have been an Eagle? Off topic, but thinking of old coaches made me think about it.
Didn't we talk about that?
I think we did last
Crow
week.
mentioned that.
And then Frank gave a frank response, and he said, then we wouldn't have heard of the Kardashians, because O.J. I'm not even going to finish reading it. You know what?
God,
I'm not. If you want to know what Frank said, go over.
Just go in the chat. Just go in the chat.
And then Chrome had said, I'm out, guys. I'm drunk, drinking at the bar. My phone is dying. Happy to be back on YouTube. I love my favorite YouTube troll, Sean Taylor. But F him and Jordan Reed. Have a great show. Love you guys and the fam. Chrome out.
Love you, Chrome. Love you,
fun.
Chrome.
See you, Chrome.
See you in like a month or two.
Yes,
Or
I
no,
won't see you probably for like a freaking year, it's going to seem like. When he comes back, I'm going.
Yes. Oh, my God.
A couple things real quick over here on the tube. Robert Ellis saying, I wonder if Dak will be able to break low 20s in touchdowns. And I said, it would be a real shame if he doesn't. It'd be a real shame if he doesn't. Cassius says, I wonder if Dak really believes he's better than Wentz or even Romo. He probably does because of the competitor, the competitiveness. But the best thing he has going for him compared to Wentz is that he's healthier than Wentz. That's the only thing you could say about Dak.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that, Kev?
And
As a non-Eagles guy?
I think athletically, like running, he's a better runner than Wentz.
See,
faster. He's faster
yes,
than Wentz.
Yes.
Sorry, I had to clear that up. He's faster than Wentz.
Not as elusive, though, as
Yeah.
Wentz.
I would say as far as the tangible athleticness goes, I would say I would put him a smidge higher.
Okay.
But if I'm looking at quarterbacks, I mean, Brady ran, a 5'9", 40. I mean, the intangibles are where you get your quarterbacks at, not necessarily how fast you can run.
Exactly.
Which, by the way, Brady's now throwing faster at 42 than he did 20 years ago.
Time versus time.
All right, before we go, we have about 5 minutes.
Yes.
Let's round up the rest of the. So again, guys, we did 26 because there are 6 new hires that we are not including that are new head coaches. Obviously, Arians was a new hire, but we have track record of them. The other 6 guys, we don't. So
you mean Cliff Kingsbury's not in the top 10? Frank said something about that earlier.
Yeah, I saw. Go ahead. Who's your final?
So I had Bill O'Brien at 21, McDermott 22, Vrabel 23, then Matt Patricia, and then the bottom 2 should be tied for worst ever. It was hard to, you could put this in any way you want. I put Shermer 25, Gase 26.
Yep. I had 21, John Gruden, because we don't know what he is. Like, come on. Like, it's been 15 plus years since he coached, if I remember correctly. Something around that. And we're going to assume that he is adjusted and knows the modern game. It's a different game now than it was back when he last coached. So I don't want to hear that he's – sorry, Bill. Like, I say this respectfully. I'm not trying to trash you, but I just don't see how you can have him top 5 when we haven't seen that he can coach in today's game yet. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen it yet. So I cannot put him near, not even the top 10 yet. He has to do it with the Raiders. It's like he's building a totally different resume now than before. So he's at my 21. 22, I got the Clapper. 23, 23 I got Mike.
Doesn't even get a name.
23 I got Mike Vrabel. 24 Matt Patricia, and then 25 I got Gase. 26 Pat Shermer.
Clap on.
Clap
Clap
on.
Clap on. They're clapping.
Who does Harrison have?
And we will round it off with, so 21 is McDermott, 22 is Jay Gruden, 23 Kyle Shanahan. I think that's extremely low.
That's
but again,
extremely low.
I think we're going off of projection as well.
Yeah.
Let's see, 24 is Matt Patricia. I think that's high for Patricia. Adam Gase at 25, Pat Shermer 26.
Yeah.
And then he has the rest,
The new hires, yeah.
That aren't ranked.
Yeah. Deion Brown says, "What's good, fellas?
What's up, Deion?
Great to see my guys. Dougie P is a damn good coach. He definitely exceeded my expectations after being hired as the head coach. I'll say he's in the top 6 right now, pending this upcoming season. I can't, that's not bad. Maybe top 6. There's a lot. I think we've seen from most lists that there are like a good, like 1 to 7 is usually, or 1 to 8 maybe. It's the same names, just different order.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, beyond
Right.
Bill Belichick, but and that's the tough part about that is putting them in the order. But those names, they're always going to be up there because they've proven to be the best of the bunch.
One quick comment before we head to break. Cassius says, while Sean Taylor is trying to argue as to why Jordan Reed should be a Hall of Famer, Ertz is already penciled in. Catch record, Super Bowl win, top 3 in his era.
Nice. I like it. I like it. All right, so that was that flew.
That flew.
man.
Flew. Yeah, that went
For
fast.
whole first half, we talked about freaking head coaching rankings. Well, that also set up a good second half because now we will get into our game in the second half of Pick Your System. So, guys, don't go anywhere. It'll be pretty fun. We'll give our thoughts about what we would do if we were the coaches and what systems we would run. We want to hear your opinions on that too. I'm very interested to hear what you guys have to say, what you guys want to do. So please come back, give us like 5-8 minutes, something like that. We got no smokers here, so it should be a quick bathroom break for us. But come back in a few minutes. We'll see you on the side. Our poll question is presented by Scanzano Sports. Thanks to Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant, make them yours, and by Specialized Physical Therapy, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. We are live from the Real Talk Studios. Guys, we will be right back. Please come back. I'm begging you. I want to see people's answers for this game. I'm very, very curious. This is going to be fun. All right, so see you in a bit, guys. Welcome back. We are back for the second half. I told you it wouldn't be that long. We are back. Second half of the show is brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, GibsonMayer.com, and Specialized Physical Therapy LLC, SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. Our Scanzano sports question, if I can bring it up one more time. Doug Pederson is a top 3 head coach in the NFL. Agree or disagree? All right. So we are here live from the Real Talk Studios again for the second half, and we are going to get into. Well, before we get into it, let's recap the top 5 head coaches in our rankings. We all had Bill Belichick.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So Bill Belichick at 1. I had Sean Payton, Doug Peterson, Pete Carroll. You guys had the same, right? For 2 to 4.
Bill, Peyton, Peterson, Carroll.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then 5 is where I disagreed from you guys. I had John Harbaugh. You guys had
McVay.
Yeah.
McVay.
So that's our 5. Let us know if you want to still comment on your 5. Definitely drop it in. We'll read them. Give us your thoughts. If you want to drop in your worst 5, definitely do that. I'm pretty sure we all have like the same group of guys. See how many people vote the clapper in there too.
Bill O'Brien.
But
Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien is pretty bad. All right. Fun. I'm excited about this. I think it's a neat little thing. With this, I get to know what you guys like in terms of what you like to see, what you look for, your preferences, and how the play style for a team is. And I think that's always a lot of fun because everyone has their likes and preferences when it comes to that stuff. And so I'm eager to find out. So, Brodo, let's start with you. If you were the coach and you had to pick like an offensive scheme or anything like offensive play style, you can branch out however way you want. If you want to talk about like certain plays you would use a lot of or whatnot, however you want to address it, and then the style of defense you'd play, the system you'd play, 4-3, 3-4, bear defense, hybrid, whatever. What would you do? Well, how would you employ your team on offensive defense side of the ball?
Actually, do me a favor. Start with Kev. I'm trying to get a video up for the site.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
yeah.
come back to
go.
me.
Kev, same question. What you got?
So for me, it was I have 3 different ones that I had written down. I would use a hybrid of all of them. Number 1's a little bit unfair. I would obviously use Patriots personally, offensively. I mean, there's nothing that they do that I don't like. As we've had conversations in the past, I'm a huge fan of 2 tight end sets. I'm a huge fan of having 2 running backs, 1 out wide.
Okay.
As a secondary check down, you move somebody over. That way you create almost like 2 slot receivers.
Okay.
That way you crowd the center of the field. That would be my number 1. But if I'm being a little bit, obviously a little bit biased there, if I go the opposite direction, number 2, I had the Colts. I'm a big fan of that type of play. Big body, quarterbacks that can stand in the pocket. A true number 1, maybe 2 running back, nothing by committee. I'm a fan of how the Patriots use their committee. Everyone's specific goal, specific run. Hey, you this is what you do and what you do only. There's no you could do a couple different things, and we have 5 of the same guys just to rotate. I like what the Colts do with Mac. Straight north-south type guy.
Okay.
And then obviously having a standard type of play as far as 3 receivers, tight end, move them in and off the line however you see fit.
Gotcha. Okay, nice. So you like the big physical type of thing. You like having sometimes even like 21 personnel with 2 running backs, 1 tight end.
Right.
Like getting the size mismatches, playing smash mouth overall, but still having a little bit of creativity in there, like what Frank Reich does with his offense there in Indy.
Right. Yeah. I am. I don't need to be a Steelers, and every play needs to be either a 30-yard pass or run. with the way that they slash guys. I'm okay with the 12, 14, 16 play drives. Whatever gets it done.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, with that type of offense, I'm not moving backwards.
Yeah.
I've got something to, I've got that, that drive, that bigger guy to no matter what, something is getting done.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. I think the thing about, and I didn't go this route because I was originally going to, but then I thought about it, I'm like, that's kind of cheating. I was gonna go with the Patriots kind of thing but the thing is, with Belichick, the reason why, well, not the reason, but one of the reasons why he's so great and is the greatest ever, is because his scheme always changes. It's not like we talked about. They went to run heavy smash mouth football system last year. Before that, it was, what was it? It was
About 50-50.
yeah, and then they used the slot, the middle of the field. They were a middle of the field offense where they attacked using the slot receiver and Gronk for so long. Before that, they had 12 personnel with Gronk and Hernandez. Before that, when they had Randy Moss, they were vertical offense throwing downfield. Before that, they were a ball control offense with that great defense and short passes. And so like he continuously evolves that scheme. So I didn't want to go there because like me saying, okay, I want to run a Bill Belichick type offense, and that's just saying I want to use everything. And obviously
there's no category.
There's no category for that. Whereas so many most head coaches have a specific like structure, like they have their go-to, like their offensive, has different dressings to it, but essentially it is a specific system. Belichick is just so smart; he knows how to change it, and that's why he molds his roster a certain way, because when he does need to change it, he has the roster already to do so.
Right.
And it's great. What's up, Big Daddy? I haven't seen you in a while. I think it's been a while. But yeah, so for my offensive system, what I decided to go to, and it might surprise people, and it's no slight on Doug, because you guys know I love Doug, but if I were to pick an offensive system to base my offense around, it would be Kyle Shanahan's zone run West Coast hybrid system. I love when you start with the running game, you go with the way he coaches the zone run system, like similar to his dad. It's just no other person can teach it like he can, and like I think that's evident where you have other coaches that are of that Shanahan tree that aren't as successful with their running backs as Kyle Shanahan and what's Kyle Shanahan's dad's name? Mike Shanahan. Sorry, Mike Shanahan were. First time. Sorry, I'm a little young.
Can I cross that with you for a second?
Yeah.
Can I take a jab at you?
Yeah, go ahead.
I
Sure.
love you, so I know I can jab.
Yeah, jab me.
Things all over the ball.
This is my.
No, I can't jab a guy.
This is my last show before I leave for my wedding. So
I know,
you
that's
gotta
why I
jab
gotta rip
now.
you. That's why I
You
gotta
gotta
rip
rip me now.
I absolutely got to come hot at you, and I need the family to respond to this. All right, Charles. Yes, congratulations. Soon to be congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You deserve it. All right. You outkicked your coverage like most of us have done.
Oh yeah, of
Like,
course.
big time. But I love his post. Like, you would think if you went to Charles's Facebook page today that his soon to be wife is making the post, right? Like, you would have thought about the wedding, your soon to be wife was making the post, right? There's so much pressure. I said, what did I do? I feel like there was no pressure for me. And I told you this a couple weeks ago. Stop putting damn pressure on yourself. It's all going to be fine. So I had to rip you because I told you to don't put pressure on himself, and I think he put more pressure on himself. He's coming out today like, I've been doing this. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. I'm like, what are they doing over there? How much work you got to get done? It's all going to come together.
It's a 200-person wedding, and
Yeah, mine was 130, so I get it. Yeah.
and freaking, we have the stuff with the church because we're doing a traditional.
Are you doing church first?
Traditional Catholic wedding.
Classy.
There's a lot of stuff that we have to do with the priest, with that church, and it's far away, so it's not like it's down the road. We can easily just go there.
Yeah.
No, it's all through phone. There's a lot of miscommunication with the church right now going on with, and then the priest at the church is not even doing the ceremony. I got one of our family friends to do it from back when I was a child.
Yeah,
Because
like
my
I
mom
did,
wanted.
yeah.
One of my mom really wanted to, and he's pretty strict. So he's been like riding us hard in terms of like getting certain things done. And when we don't have one thing done, he like blasts us for it. We're like, and I'm
So
like,
this
"Geez."
isn't even about like you backed up on like centerpieces.
I don't care about the centerpieces.
Like you know what I'm talking about? Like
I don't care
so,
about the
no,
centerpieces.
we had to clear the air for the family.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he's not even stressed out about like those types of things. The priest is all up in his head. The priest is killing this
The
guy,
priest-
poor guy.
Let me tell you also that you know how many times we had to change the damn seating chart to satisfy like my
People.
parents, like fucking, and I get text. I'm glad like they don't listen to the show, they don't hear. But I get a text from my cousin like last week like, oh, can you not sit me with my mom because we're kind of not talking.
Oh, my
I'm like,
goodness.
oh great. And then get this, I'm not lying. I'm not even exaggerating. I swear to God. Last night, the seating chart was due. Last night, before I pop it, and it's already late because it's like 9 o'clock at night. And obviously, if I email the venue, they're not going to get it 9 o'clock at night. So it's already late, regardless. But I'm trying to get a finalized seating chart done. And my mom goes, "Oh, one, your aunt and cousin from Cali can't make it anymore because your
Yep,
uncle's
love
sick."
them.
Great. Well, my uncle's sick, so I understand that. But two, he pops in, "Oh, my niece and her son from Texas, they're gonna come now." I never even met them. I have no clue who these people are. Apparently, I have family in Texas. Like I know I'm Filipino. I have a large family, and when like I have family everywhere. I didn't even know about the Texas family, and then all of a sudden, oh, I have a cousin and her son are coming to the wedding. So now we got to move everything around. We didn't get done the seating chart till 2 o'clock in the
All
morning.
right, that's the hardest part of it.
So it's
Well, I had to
it's-
pick your brain. I had to see where you.
Yeah.
I had to see where you were backed up at.
Yeah.
You know, what I mean, I had to come on. I had to stay off the book.
And it's-
you know, come man
yeah.
to man. Be like, what can I help you with?
It's a
again?
lot of, and it's like if you guys have had large weddings before, anyone in listening, like there's just so many just tiny little things where when you get one done, now you have to get like 5 other
Yeah,
things.
and you
done.
know I'm breaking your
gross.
balls.
Yeah, no, I know. But like honestly, the centerpieces, I can care less. Like that's one of them. Like, babe, you do that. You and mom can handle that. I could care less about the flowers. I
But
could
I'll
care about
tell
the
you, it's
centerpieces.
all going to come together,
Yeah,
and
that's
you'll
what
have a
everyone
great
keeps saying,
night.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It always does. It always works out perfectly.
Yeah.
You know, and as long as Mary's happy the
Oh,
whole
exactly.
night,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the
you're
key.
golden. You know, and I didn't even see Leonard our whole night. Married. I don't even know if I even ate the food. I don't know. Like, it's that hectic. Like
Yeah.
to me,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
wedding was more hectic than anything before it.
Uh-huh.
Just because you're like saying you got to say hello to 100 million freaking people. You feel like, you know,
Yeah.
it's just a lot. So
Yes.
like I was breaking your balls a little bit. Like, what's
Yeah,
this
yeah.
guy backed up on? Centerpieces? Like, what can I help you with? What can I get done for you? But it's a freaking priest. I mean, these guys, they're supposed to be the easy ones. They freaking, we can't rip priests, but you know what I mean? We
Yeah.
can semi-rip them. It's like a semi-ripping a priest. Like, leave the guy alone. Guy's structured. He's going to have everything in. Not an unstructured guy. Now, if it's me, rip me because I'm very unstructured. I'm all over the place. Then you rip me. But, no,
Yeah.
you guys will have a freaking great time,
I appreciate
brother.
it. I thank you so much.
Nothing
Thank
but
you.
love for the 2 years. I wish I could be there. Baseball.
All
Just
good. No,
freaking
hey,
baseball
we all got our things. We all got our
ruins
things,
my
so-
whole summer.
No problem. No problem.
But I love it. But it ruins it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad. No, I'm glad you said
Nobody
something so I
find
clear
me.
there.
I love baseball. I love my guys.
Oh, it's always good when we get the Big Daddy on board. Exactly. But anyways, I don't even know where we were. Coaches. So I was saying that I love seating chart talk.
Yeah, I had to throw
I
that in
know,
there.
that's
I had
funny.
to throw that in there.
But yeah, we were talking about the system that I would run is Kyle Shanahan's system because he teaches the way he teaches the zone run game, and the zone system is he's bar none. Him and his dad, they know like the nuances of the nuances of the nuances on what to do, certain techniques, and that's why he gets the most out of his running backs. If you go to Atlanta and where he was before that, I think Washington. He always produces. It doesn't matter if Joe Schmo is on the team. He'll always get them to run for 1,000 yards because his system is that good and he knows how to teach it to the players that he has. And he makes those running backs better than what their talents actually are. I mean, you had Matt Breida being the leading rusher 4 or 5 weeks into the season because Matt Breida freaking knows how to run the system. He knows what to do. And I love his zone scheme in the run game. But not only that, but when it comes to the passing game, I love what he does pre-snap and what he does with play action because he uses motion so well to move stuff around. And, like, this is the thing. People love Sean McVay's offense. And McVay is also of the Shanahan tree, but his is a little different. Where McVay uses, the same formation and will use the same motion and call it different concepts. What Shanahan does is he uses pre-snap motion to see to see what the defense is doing, and then he'll use play action and bootleg a lot, and then attack vertical. Whereas McVay more so attacks like short and intermediate. If you see a lot of the big plays that the 49ers have had, or even the Falcons have had when Shanahan was there, a lot of it is down the field because they know how to attack defenses vertically to get them open off of play action and off of motion to know what the defense is showing. So his way of orchestrating that zone run West Coast passing scheme is just awesome. And I say it's a West Coast hybrid because he has basic West Coast principles in terms of shallow crosses and ins and outs. But again, like I said, he attacks downfield. He puts vertical routes into that. So it's kind of like a hybrid. It's not just simply West Coast. So that's what I would run because to me, like I love the zone run scheme because it's the running. You get a running back that makes one cut and judges where the flow of the defense is going and the offense, and then gets upfield. I love the use of the pre-snap motions and everything. I love everything about his system. That's why I'm so high on Kyle Shanahan, and it's so fun to watch. It's so fun to watch. Whenever I break down Niners tape, even though like that team has had awful players the past few years under Shanahan, and they're still building. Like it's still fun to watch the schemes, and still fun to break down like what they're actually doing. And I love it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that that's my issue with that type of offense is it's more fun and flashy than productive. As far as what I'm looking to get out of an offense anyway, is I'm not necessarily a fan of a run first type of offense. I know it can be done and it has been successful, but I want to I'd rather have less plays in the backfield, whereas you're spending too much time versus in your backfield. I get that as far as Shanahan's concerned is you can't necessarily sit up front and prey on that because he can beat you deep. But I think that it's just not enough to be.
Well, it's not a run first scheme. It's a zone run scheme, and he gets a lot out of it. But it's not. He doesn't run the ball like majority of the time like you would see the Cowboys do or the Ravens do. It's not a run first scheme.
Yeah,
it's just that it's a zone run scheme and how he uses it. But he doesn't. He passes a lot still. Like he's still like when they lost in the Super Bowl to you guys in the comeback, the Falcons. He was blasted because he didn't run enough. So it's not a run first scheme.
I guess I should word it differently. It's not necessarily run first, but the 50-50 and everything being shorter and run oriented, where everything is short passes to set up to get your guys back on their feet and then cut a run in. Or to me, they don't stretch the field enough in that style of offense. I get Shanahan runs it a little bit differently where he's got the deeper throws, but I want to live more in the 10 to 15 yard range versus the 10 or 8 to 10 range where everything is hurry up, get to the line because we need at least 3 plays to hit our first downs. I want to be able to do it in a play if I need to.
I get you. I just think it's when used right. I just love that offense. They went far with it with Falcons. The Falcons they were the best team in the league that year, and they had. And I'm not ripping the Patriots by any means. They won the game, and it was great. But like, it got the offense. The offensive system worked. It's just that they were up 28-3 against the Patriots. The offensive system wasn't the issue. It was the defense that choked it away, and then all of a sudden the momentum was out. They didn't have any momentum. So I think that you can still win with that type of offense. Mike Shanahan won with that type of offense in Denver.
Right.
Granted, the passing game wasn't involved like it was now, but like that type of system, it won in Denver with Elway. So I think it's all about how you use it and everything. But I think it's just in today's game that offensive system is just it's use it right, you teach it right. It's very hard to stop.
I'm actually going to, because I'm still trying to put this one thing up
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
I'm actually going to take a different approach.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to something we talk about a lot. Kev, you've already heard it a couple times from us in the few weeks you've been here, but this is something Chucks and I always agree with, and I think over time it's going to be even more. And it actually goes to something we talked about pre-show before Chucks got here. A big element, it's not necessarily system, it's more of a choice by an offense.
Okay, yeah.
Is the whole running back by committee.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about that as opposed to your bell cow, as opposed to a power back.
Yep.
I think, and if you've been listening to the show or me for any period of time, you would know that I'm a big fan of it, not only because the Eagles obviously won with it, but I believe that is going to be the new norm as we continue to go further and further into the league.
I think it is the new norm. Yeah.
So would you officially say it is the new norm,
I think
or
so.
it's okay?
I think so. I think it's gotten to the point. I think 1 or 2 years ago is when you could finally say it is what it is.
And I completely understand anybody at home or at any point that would say, "Oh, well, I'd rather have a Le'Veon Bell, a Todd Gurley, Ezekiel Elliott, a top echelon running back that I know could be reliable every game heading into the playoffs, and he's one of the best." That's not a problem. Like if I had Todd Gurley or Melvin Gordon on my team, I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
But I also know that there are tricks and also advantages to having multiple different varieties of attack in your run offense.
Absolutely.
Because as we always talk about, Chucks, and Chrome agrees with it, Kev, if you disagree or agree, let me know. When you have somebody, let's say, for example, a LeGarrette Blount, he's one style. You have a Darren Sproles, who's another. You have a Jay Ajayi, who's another. Corey Clement, who's kind of shifty. He can do a lot of both. He's like a wide receiver within a running back. You have a lot of different avenues to attack a defense, and it's harder, in my opinion, to judge it, to kind of defend it if you're the opposing defense, because you don't know. Like, for example, if you're playing the Cowboys, Ezekiel Elliott. You have to stop him. With the Eagles, for example, you don't know if Corey Clement's getting the most touches, if I'm going in the past. Like, Jay is not a part of this anymore. But, like, now, for example, you don't know if Jordan Howard, Miles Sanders, you understand? You have variety. So you can game plan for one person, but in turn, you're only seeing him for 5 touches. So I think it can really work in a lot of different ways. And also, when you talk about injuries, when you talk about durability and sustainability in your run offense, if you have a Todd Gurley go down, like we talked about earlier, if I'm a Rams fan, I'm terrified right now, you're done. You're done. Like, that's your guy. Sure, you have backups, but it's a long, long drop between a Todd Gurley to, let's say, friggin' Wendell Smallwood, for example, who is like a run-of-the-mill backup running back in those systems. When you have a running back by committee, let's go to your Patriots, for example. I'm a big fan of James White. Huge fan of Sony Michel. If you lose one of those, you still have the other. You understand? And then I'm not even counting a Rex Burkhead, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm saying? To where you have advantages. Sure, you don't have a top 5 running back. Hell, you might not have a top 10 running back. But you have guys that are good enough to do their jobs when needed.
Yeah.
Whether it's fit, whether it's situation, whatever. And I think going forward, teams are going to move into that, not only because it works, but also when you talk about salary. You do not have to pay, maybe collectively, but you don't have to pay nearly as much if you have 3 guys that are above average, as opposed to one guy, say, for Melvin Gordon or Ezekiel Elliott, who's going mega money. If you combine the contracts, 3 compared to 1, yes, obviously you're getting close, but you can also argue you're applying that to 3 players instead of applying it to 1.
Yeah.
Where if you go back to injury, if that one player who's making $60 million goes down, that's $60 million down the drain.
Yeah.
As opposed to 3 that are moved around collectively that can do 3 different things.
Yeah. And here's go ahead.
Yeah, that was a conversation that we had pre-show. Was I am not necessarily a fan of committees outside of 2. 1, the Patriots, 2, the Eagles. If you look at certain teams that have 3 and 4 guys that are none of them are number ones on any other team, and none of them are role specific, is an issue, because the only way you open up your pass game is through your run game, and vice versa. So if you've got no guy to say, hey, I need at least 5 yards on this run, then what do? The reason why I separate the Eagles and the Patriots out of the two, A, very, very similar offenses as far as scheme goes, being that they have no scheme, and B, is everyone in the committee is role specific. So when you see Sony Michel and James White come in, I would probably say 7 out of 10 times the ball's going to White.
Mm-hmm.
Because when Sony Michel's in there, yes, but A, he's going to take a defender off in the run game. You're going to sell run that way, or B, put him out wide. White's your short guy out of the backfield. Yeah, everyone has their specific role. We're looking at James Devlin that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If James Devlin's on the field, he's either A, blocking for Brady and the ball's going extremely deep, or B, he's getting the ball and you only need 3 yards.
Mm-hmm.
The only 2 times you see him on the field.
Mm-hmm.
If you have guys like that, you can say, hey, I maybe have 12 plays designed for you, and I'm going to pay you accordingly. That's fine. But my issue is when you have the 3 and 4 guys where you have to pay them all number 2 money, and then other areas hurt. Like right now, the Patriots are. Outside of Edelman and N'Keal Harry, who they drafted number 1, or first round or whatever you want to call it, second round pick. Who do they have in the receiving core?
Mm.
Nobody.
I think
You depleted yourself.
I think there is. It's a good. I used to years ago. I used to be a. Oh no! I'd rather have a featured running back, a workhorse running back, over a committee. I changed my tune a few years ago because I saw the benefits of having fresh legs in a running back, and extending their career as a result. But I think there are also, whereas a committee is what's in today, I think we also have to consider the fact that, to what you're saying, there's an extreme side if you go too far with the committee, where you have a bunch of nobodies, you'll have nothing. Where you have to be able to use the committee the right way, and be able to make all those people in the committee happy. Because that's the other thing we're not factoring in. A committee, if you're telling running back that you're going to be part of a 2 or 3 man show, it's not all running backs like that. There are not a lot of running backs that, not every running back in the league wants to be part of a committee where they're sharing time. And that's the other thing, is managing the touches so that everyone's happy.
Mm-hmm.
I get your point about making sure every running back in the committee has a role. At the same time, you also have to be careful about being predictable. You're right about because you see our backfield. It's pretty clear what their roles are, or what they're projected to be. Howard is the early down short yardage back. He's the power back. He's not going to be the one that's going to break off multiple 20-yard gains. He's not the one that you're going to line up out wide and throw him a pass, a slant. You know what I mean? He's not going to run a wheel route and go 30 yards down the field. He's not that guy. But he's the power back. He's a short yardage back, and he's consistent. You know what he is. Miles Sanders, what you're projecting for him is to be kind of like the Kamara to Howard, as that the Kamara was to Mark Ingram. He's going to be to Howard what Kamara was to Ingram, as in the more of the movable piece, the one that can catch passes, is more dynamic of a runner, that he'll get a handful of touches of runs, but he's the game breaker. He's the one that can bust out the larger runs. He's the one that can line up out wide, and he can run a slant. He can do all this, run wide receiver routes. He's that guy. And then you have Darren Sproles, who is going, the newly signed Darren Sproles.
We freaking called that, did we not?
We called it.
Freaking called that.
I was so ecstatic when I found out. But you have Darren Sproles, who is going to be exclusively the pass catching guy slash the return man.
I'm
probably.
so happy.
I'm so happy. So everyone has the roles, and to that point, yes. The extreme that you have to be careful of is when you get predictable. You have to keep it where you're not always running the same exact stuff with these guys so that the defense can key in. Because that was an issue when we had Blunt earlier in the year, that Super Bowl year, was when Blunt was in there, that everyone knew what we were going to do. We were going to friggin' run the ball. It wasn't until late in the year when we got Ajayi and we started to mix it up a little bit more where it became more of a it opened stuff up for Blunt and made his job easier for Blunt. So it's a fine line, and I agree for the most part. It's just tricky, but I want the viewers to realize also, just because you have specific roles doesn't mean that you can't get predictable. You have to always mix it up. And I think the report from a month or so ago of the Eagles wanting to use Howard more in the passing game to be, to get more passes to him and or whatnot, or using different ways. That I came out flat here and said that's smart because you don't want to be predictable with Howard.
No.
We all know what he is. He's a short yardage guy, but you don't want that to be another Blunt issue where the defense is new. You want to throw him maybe one or two screen passes in the flat just to mix it up so the defense isn't always he's going out for a pass in the flat. They're not going to throw him to there. Oh, they're not going to drop a screen to him. Right. No, they're not going to do that. If you mix it up, it keeps the defense at bay a little bit. So
if I'm looking at it as far as running backs as far as cores go, at both ends of the spectrum, if I had to pick one right now as far as scheme and play goes, players can rotate in from whomever you want to put them on as far as teams go. I'm looking at the Saints are probably the shining example as far as I'm concerned. You've got two guys that can do both. Neither one of them is a superstar in either one. You could say that there's a better pass catcher out of the backfield like McCaffrey. You could say there's a better runner like a Le'Veon Bell, but both do well enough that neither one is complacent and saying, hey, I'm the number one guy, pay me. You had a little bit of an age issue with Ingram, which is why I think he flexed out.
He's on the Ravens now. Yeah.
Right, but I'm saying if he's younger and there's more there, if you catch him early, I think he stays. But you've got two guys and then a third, which I put in Taysom Hill, who's really their backup quarterback, but played a lot out of the backfield. Yeah. So if I had three guys like that, that's my best case scenario. Worst case, I'm looking at the Redskins. As you have Adrian Peterson have 1,200 yards, I believe it was, and you're still bottom of the barrel as far as offenses go. I know that they had some injuries, but to still have that depth of talent that you've got there and not produce, that's where you become predictable. That's where you become, guys fighting for time, and you are throwing them out there just to please them.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think I like the Redskins' backfield they have this year with Geis, because I really like Geis. I think the two. I think we talked about when you talk about running back cores. Tampa Bay's running back core really worries me. That's an abysmal.
Well, I'm looking at it as far as fitting into scheme.
Oh, okay,
goes.
Okay.
Not necessarily the players, but how they're used.
How they use it, yeah.
How do you have Peterson's listed 3 as far as where they've got the depth chart.
Yeah.
And he was your 1,200-yard rusher.
Yeah.
So you're trying to please these younger guys that you've paid or promised to pay or whatever it is, yet they're not producing, and they've become predictable in their play.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, finish your thought.
No. I was
going to say, I just thought of, too, when you were talking about the predictability, with the Eagles and how that's concerned. I agree with that. We also have to remember, too, and this is a good thing. It's something we complained a lot about last year, and I'm sure it'll be at times this year. We did it a lot in the Super Bowl year, that we didn't run the ball enough, that we're a pass-first team. We are. So as much as I agree, everything you're saying I agree with we have to make sure, the Jordan Howard element is not predictable. I find comfort knowing that we aren't living and dying based off of our run game. It's important, like we always talk about. What's the thing we've always talked about? That the best complement to the quarterback is the running back. So it has to work.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that like last year, because a big reason why we didn't go as far as we should have.
We had no running backs.
Because we didn't have any freaking running backs. Like if anyone follows us on A2D on our social medias, there was a video of a ref running really, really fast. He was
Yes.
trying to outrun the college player. Like, where was he when the Eagles needed him? We would have used him. He would probably been better than Josh Adams. Not a shot. It probably is a shot at him, actually. But you understand my point that while I am, and listen, I like Jordan Howard. I definitely saw him a lot in Chicago. But I don't know what to expect, to be honest. I don't know, like, when you talk about them involving him kind of with the passing element. Like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, we definitely don't know for sure. So it's tricky, and I do think that their whole we always talk about the running back thing. I think in the end, whether you have a committee or you have a featured back, regardless of what you use, I think when it comes down to it, the bottom line is you have to have talent. You still have to have talent. Like what happened with the Eagles last year, people want to say all running backs are replaceable. You know, it doesn't matter who you have back there, so just draft them in the 7th round, you'll be fine. No, because last year we showed that the Eagles were really hampered by not having talent at the running back position. It happens. You know, you need talent. So you can have still a superstar running back, but you can have a superstar running back while still being in a committee. And I think that's still possible. You know, it was the Saints made it work with Ingram and Kamara for 2 years, and they were the best running back committee in the league for those 2 years. They made it friggin' work. And Kamara and Ingram loved each other. They worked so well with each other. So we've seen it happen. They've had those were last year. You could say you made a case that both were top 10 running backs, both of them, and they made it work by splitting time. They both produced. So it's possible, regardless of what you use or how you use them. You still need talent at that position, regardless. No matter what, you need talent.
Yeah, I think as far as making it work, that's 100% on your coaching staff. I think any other coach in that position outside of the top 5 guys, which we ranked earlier in the show, would say, okay, you know, Ingram, you're the veteran, you're the guy. Go ahead. You know, we know what we're going to get out of you. We know what we've got in Kamara. It's the same style of play, so why do we need both of you? Kind of take a seat or you're on the trading block versus a coach that's actually got a set and say, no, we're going to use you both. We're going to, you know, this is our offense. We're not going to, you know, let you you say what plays we're running and when. You know, that's my job.
Yeah.
Your job's to run the ball.
Exactly. No, you're 100% right. Absolutely right. So before we move on to the topic, let's real quick, what type of defense are you running?
Again, a little bit unfair. Patriots defense would be my first choice, but again, it's no scheme. It's whatever you do best. We're just not letting you do it.
Yeah.
That bend but don't break type play. If I'm picking outside of that, I'm gonna go with the Chargers.
The Chargers.
Yeah, I like the more zone type play, but when I need to, I'm big enough to play man to man. And I get to the quarterback. That's my number one goal.
Gotcha.
You know, if you look at the playoff game, you know, unfortunately for them, I think it's more experience as far as getting blown out by the Patriots. But Joey Bosa was in Brady's face, at least close enough to have a conversation with him all game.
Hey, how you doing? How's yourself?
It's funny that you say that, but if you can look up the video as the play's ending, Bosa's there. He's like, Tom, stop throwing the ball so fast. And Brady looks back to him and is like, well, stop getting here so fast. I don't have to throw it.
You know, on top of that, you know, Kev, before the show, we had a really good conversation about the Bill Belichick thing. I completely agree. That's my answer as well because, you know, I'll go back to, and this doesn't solely talk about defense, but you'll get my point. You know, back the 2 weeks prior to the Super Bowl when we won, just throwing that, we won that one. We won that one.
I feel like this is forever going to be like, oh, by the way, we won.
We won that one. We got you. We got it. Anyway, not relevant to the conversation. Who said that? I didn't say that. Anyway, before that game, everyone was talking about, like a lot of analysts, and I understand it was oh, if the Eagles win, it's going to be based off of their defense. The defense is going to smother the Patriots. And I remember sitting in that chair and saying, no, they're not. No, they're not. I always thought we were going to win the game, but I'm like, no, they're not. Because going back to the defense, and this goes twofold, the Bill Belichick defense is based off of one thing. And this is why he's so great. It's because he adapts not only every half, every quarter, but every single week. He will completely change and flip the entire team upside down
They did it to the
to
Rams.
fit
They did
exactly.
it to the Rams.
People don't
McVay
realize it.
didn't know.
People
they
thought-
did it to the Rams so bad.
Well, speaking of the Rams game, the stance was, oh, the even the Bill Belichick defensive scheme won't be able to stop the Rams. Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
He changes
People
it.
don't realize that there was, prior to Patriots Bill Belichick, there was other success in his history. Stopping Jim Kelly in the K-gun.
Yes.
That was Belichick. He was the
Yeah.
defensive coordinator for the
Yep.
Giants.
Yep.
You have to look and see where his mindset is. His roots are deeply embedded in coaching and in football, not just as success as with the Patriots.
Yes.
It leads a long time before that.
Exactly. For me, if I'm going to be specific, look, picking Belichick is cheating because he always changes. So I'm trying to go beyond that because obviously that is the answer. But I think if I'm personally, if I'm going to be specific, I was always more fond of the 4-3 than the 3-4. Maybe it's because I grew up with Jim Johnson, so I'm always going to use a 4-3. And I personally, I like to build my defenses from 1, the trenches, and then 2, the secondary. You can make fun of me if you want, but I was never high on building the linebacking core. I always thought the more important parts of the defense were the line and the secondary. So I always want to have good defensive line throughout, good corners, and at least one good safety. And so I would run a 4-3, and then in terms of my coverage scheme, I would like to play a lot of man-to-man. I like zone, but to me, when it comes down to it and when I want a stop, I'm playing man-to-man. You ask me, if you ever played me on Madden, 70% of my defensive play calls are man-to-man because I'm not going to pick a team that has horrible corners. And so I'm always going to get good corners, and I want, hey, you're matched up against him, you're playing man-to-man, shut him down. And I want my best corners to do that. So I love playing man-to-man. I think that, you have to incorporate both. You can't just play strictly man-to-man the whole game. Your corners will die. they will die. But I love just that defensive thought. So that's what I would use, and that I just like. I think cover 3. A lot of teams use that, but cover 3. I think is being overplayed a lot. So that's just me. I think there's too many teams use it and use it too much and don't switch it up. Jim Schwartz.
Yeah. I'm the opposite way. I like a larger zone heavy offense better than a man to man, but I've been kind of graced by watching Julian Edelman and the Westbrooks or Welkers rather, and those type of guys cut underneath of everyone that's playing man to man so well that I've seen it. I've never seen it work out to more than it hasn't. Playing the Steelers almost every year for for God's sake and reason. They use a lot of man to man, and I think
for some reason.
I think the Steelers have maybe beaten. I think it's 3 times now in the past 18 years that they've beaten Brady, but just heavy man coverage does not usually work. So.
Yeah, you have to have the corners to do so.
Right.
That's what I was saying. Like, if I don't have the corners, I'm not playing man-to-man.
Yeah.
I'm not exposing them with that. But if I that's why I preface it by saying I need to have good corners. I like building the secondary. If I don't have if I have the good corners, I'm playing man-to-man a lot. But if I don't, if I play man-to-man, I'll be stupid. I'd be absolutely stupid because they're going to get burnt every single time. Like ISO and just run ISO routes. One-on-one man beaters, it's all game. Yeah, you have to change it up. All right, so we got 7 minutes left. What do you want to do, Kev? You want to do a quick training camp preview because it's my last show? Talk about my predictions, or Ryan, do you have any suggestions?
Well, I was going to say, if you guys want to do training camp, I have a big question for both of you.
Let's go. Let's do
Okay?
training camp. Let's close out with training camp.
Entering training, when do you get back?
My first show back is tentatively, and it depends on my recovery period after my honeymoon.
Understandable.
Yeah, I might
Understandable.
be jet lagged. But I could be back the 27th of August. If not, I will be back the 3rd of September to do
Your season
week one
predictions.
preview.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I won't go into. All right. So my question, and it goes for you, just different team, obviously.
Right.
Give me your top 2 biggest concerns as an Eagles fan, as a Patriots fan. But for you, Chucks, we know what the top is. It's the health of Carson Wentz.
Yes, I was going to go.
So obviously, forgetting that, we all know that's one. It's understandable. So not including that, your top 2 concerns heading into training camp, preseason, and into the regular season. And for you, the top 2 concerns as a Patriots fan heading into training camp, preseason, and regular season.
You go first.
So for me, it's easy. We talked about it pre-show.
Yes.
It's depth at your receiving core, number 1.
Alan Hearns, he's coming.
Which I would take at this point,
Yeah.
given what's there. I mean, you've got right now you have a slot receiver as your number 1 in Edelman, which I don't mind. I would put him there anyway outside of the talent they've got. Then you've got Demaryius Thomas on the PUP list to start the season, more likely than not, and Josh Gordon's still out, someplace smoking it up, I assume. So there's nothing there that's saying, hey, you have Brady throwing the ball, you guys are always going to be good, but that's not always the case. I don't want to be good. I want to win the Super Bowl. So with the core we have, I don't know necessarily right now if I would put them in that category to win it. Second, I would say along the same lines, depth of the tight end. I don't even know who our starting tight end is, to be honest. I mean, you've got it's Matt Lacoste. I don't know.
Big fan.
Yeah. I haven't seen enough of him play to know what he's got going on there.
I have no idea.
And then you've got Ben Watson, who was retired, coming back, but starts the season suspended.
The crafty veteran.
Yeah. So
Still
Don't
playing.
worry, you'll have Gronk in like 12 weeks. No,
Or
don't you worry.
he'll make a superstar out of Lacoste. Eight
that's true.
8 weeks in, and we'll be like, oh my gosh, I picked up Lacoste in fantasy football, and he's killing it. So
Yeah, what are you worried about? You've turned grocery store clerks into friggin' all-stars. What are you talking about?
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, I know I'm not.
You're
I've
not
seen
wrong.
it far
but
too many times, Kevin.
Seen
Far too many times.
Seen it. All right, so for me, the Eagles, number 1, if we're not doing health is
Yes,
Carson Wentz's health.
yes.
You're gonna laugh. I'm really worried that the cornerback competition is not going to be a competition, and it's just going to be handed to people, aka it's going to be handed to Jalen Mills. If Jalen Mills wins this outright, by all means, I will be completely fine, because we'll be able to tell during the games if he really did earn it.
Yes. of
We'll
course.
be able to tell as we watch the games if he's stepped it up and no longer getting beat as much on the double move, and if he's improved. Do I believe that can happen? I think it's a slim chance, but it can happen. He can be better, but I'm worried that it's gonna come to that. I want it to be an actual competition. I want the best corners on the team to win the starting jobs.
So you think it's just going to happen automatically because of health, correct?
Because of health, I mean, I've heard that Mills isn't even 100% healthy.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
We still don't know what the
We
injury
don't know
was.
what the injury
I
was.
don't know
and
if we ever
whatnot.
will.
I'm concerned that with that camp, the training camp battle, I feel like it's the most important, or it's going to be the biggest training camp positional battle all preseason, and I want to make sure the best player wins. Do I believe? If you're going to ask me, I believe the best players on the corners on the team are Avonte Maddox, Ronald Darby, and Rasul Douglas. Well, Rasul Douglas, I guess Rasul Douglas or Sidney Jones. I think it's a toss-up, but I'll say Rasul Douglas because he picks the ball off. He gets interceptions. I think they're the three most talented, but I could be wrong. Regardless, the three best should win the jobs. Exactly. That's it. Nothing handed to them.
So really quick before you move on to your second one. An old friend from YouTube has joined the chat.
Who we got?
It's Sixers JT.
Hey, Sixers JT again at the end of the show.
Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed.
Oh my god.
Good to hear from you, Sixers JT, as well as D Love. Oh, D Love is here.
Oh my god.
Oh, he says it's been a while. Look who's back. Sixers JT, good to hear from you,
missed
sir.
you guys.
D Love says Mills, it was his foot. And then JT says Rasul doesn't get enough credit. Sixer JT, just like we always used to. I agree with you.
Yes.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
You'll learn to love both of them.
Yes. My
Your
second one.
sir.
Second
Yes.
one.
Yes.
The health of Brandon Brooks. He needs to I heard it's very possible he could still be available and to play week 1. And if that happens, that is a goddamn miracle. A torn Achilles in January and he comes back to play week 1. That's astounding. But regardless of what happens, we know how an Achilles injury, a torn Achilles, affects a player's athleticism. I'm worried about his Achilles, and with him being out, he is such an integral part of that right side of the offensive line that's so dominant. From Kelsey to Brooks to Lane, they are that right side of the line is as good as any side of the line in the league. It's incredible. So him being out is a big concern for me because if he's out, I'm not trying to rush him back. Take your time, make sure he's 100% healthy, and that he can play. That's fine. I'd rather deal with who we have to deal with than risk his injury. But even this, if he has to be out, I'm worried about what that's going to do. So his health is my second biggest worry. So we'll see how training camp goes, and we will find out within the next few weeks because, guys, training camp for the Eagles starts tomorrow. That's incredible. Football is back. And as football comes back, I am headed out. Guys, anyone still listening, I will be out. Next week I know my last show was supposed to be next week, but stuff has come up. I cannot make it anymore. So unfortunately, there will be no show next week because Chrome is still out. So we'll be back in 2 weeks in time to preview the Chrome and you guys will be back in 2 weeks. Well, you won't. So
I won't. I'll be gone.
But Chrome and Kevin will preview the first Eagles preseason game and everything, but I will be back the end of August. At worst case scenario, beginning of September. Definitely gonna miss you guys. It's gonna feel like forever.
Well,
it's gonna feel like forever.
Since this will be the last time I talk to you, I see you. Have fun. Congratulations
Thank you.
again.
I appreciate it.
It's gonna be one of the best days of your life.
I
can't really. I'm not there yet. I can't
I know.
relate, but I've heard great things. I've heard great things. From when I was at Tom's, it was mad. It was awesome.
That's
it was
awesome. Yeah. So thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna miss you.
Yeah, definitely miss you guys. And anyone that's still listening, YouTube people, I come back. We were reunited, and yet we parted yet.
Same thing for me. I'm going to be back this week, and they'll be gone for a week.
I know. But when I get back, we will definitely be talking Mad Eagles. We'll be hitting the end of the preseason, beginning of week 1. That's going to be great to talk about. I'll have a lot to say as I come back, and it'll be a lot of fun. But I will see you guys in about a month. It's going to be a crazy month, and I'm excited for it. Eagles football, NFL football is coming, guys. It's so soon. You can just smell it. It's around the corner. But, guys, great show. It was really, really good. Even though Chrome wasn't here, which was a loss.
In spirit.
We still did well. So good job. Everyone else, catch our shows tomorrow. You guys have a show tomorrow?
Absolutely. 6 to 8 right here.
6 to 8, and then AM and the PM after that.
Yep.
And you know the rest of the gauntlet of shows we got here at A2D. One a day. Stay subscribed. Stay in tune. We're back on YouTube, so definitely tune in to YouTube and all of our other shows. Thank you for tuning in to the end. Bill, I know you listened to the end. You the man. Love your brother. I'll see you in a bit, all right? This show was our poll question was brought to you by Scanzano Sports, and we thank Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant, making yours, GibsonMayer.com. And thank you to Specialized Physical Therapy. Find them again in Burlington, Cherry Hill, and Princeton. SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. We were live from the Real Talk Studios. Guys, have a great month of Eagles training camp and preseason. I will see you when week 1 comes along. Until then, fly, Eagles, fly. Have a great night. Let's go.